We just discussed the fact that Attorney General William Barr put out a statement essentially contesting the findings of his own department of the Inspector General. But there was also a second statement from John Durham, the U.S. Attorney for Connecticut, who has been additionally tasked by Attorney General William Barr with looking into other elements, a criminal investigation into the Russia investigation.
Right. I mean, if you think Barr's statement was unusual, Durham's statement is even more bizarre. Here you have a sitting prosecutor conducting a pending criminal investigation, making a public statement seeming to denigrate the scope and adequacy of the findings of the IG investigation, while pointing out that he appears to be in possession of some secret information from some other government agency that the IG had no access to, as if to preserve the possibility that these findings that you've been talking about today will be undermined later by some new revelations.
It is, and it's worth stressing, this is an active U.S. attorney who is involved in an active criminal investigation that is pending and from which we have seen no, at least public-facing indictments. So it's very, even if all he had said were positive things that had nothing to do with the sort of controversial ground that he's tread upon, it's weird for a prosecutor to talk about his investigation while it is ongoing, period.
It's very uncommon for prosecutors to speak through charging documents, opening statements, closing arguments, examinations of witnesses. They don't just issue press conferences in the middle of their investigation to comment upon someone else's investigation and to talk about how much better their investigation is than the other investigation. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing happening.
Is Mr. Durham breaking a rule at the Justice Department by doing this? Are there regulations that are supposed to prevent this sort of thing?
You know, I'm not sure that there's a specific rule that governs that. That may be because no one has ever done this before. They didn't think they needed a rule to govern this. It's suffice it to say it's highly unusual. I think it reflects poorly on Mr. Durham to lend his name and imprimatur and respect and credibility into this political arena, because this has the patina of political support for Barr's own statement, for the statements that other people on behalf of the president have been making, and that reflects incredibly upon Mr. Durham.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.